I am studying the cells of different organisms like the cells of a leaf of this plant and muscle cell using this equipment called a microscope. These are cells of a leaf. These are some muscle cells of a pig. You can observe other cells under a microscope. Do you want to know what a microscope is and how people discover microscopes? If you do, stay tuned here on Science 101. In the late 1500s, Zacharias Janssen and his father, who are eyeglass makers, built the first microscope by putting lenses on a tube. Few decades passed. In the mid-1600s, an English scientist named Robert Hooke was the first to observe living organisms with a microscope. He put all his discoveries on his book called Micrographia, including illustrations of microscopic organisms and other objects like cork, where he saw tiny compartments that he eventually called cells. In the late 1600s, another Dutch scientist named Antoine van Leeuwenhoek improved the microscope and used it to study and observe living organisms and bacteria for the first time. Microscope is important for scientists and students to study microorganisms like bacteria and cells, and its structures that are too small for our eyes to see. They use different types of microscopes like a compound light microscope and an electron microscope. Microscope is made up of structural parts for holding and supporting the microscope and its components, and the optical parts which are used for magnification and viewing of specimens. The structural parts of a microscope are the head, base and arms. The head or body holds the upper part of the microscope where the optical parts are present. The base supports the microscope and carries the illuminators. The arm connects the base and the head and the eyepiece tube to the base. The optical parts of a microscope are used to view and magnify a specimen placed on a slide. These are the parts, an eyepiece also known as the ocular, where the observers look through the microscope. Its standard magnification is 10 times with an optional eyepiece having 5 to 30 times. Eyepiece tube holds the eyepiece. Objective lenses are the major lenses used to magnify a specimen. They have a magnification power of 40 to 100 times. There can be 1 up to 4 objective lenses placed on a microscope. Each lens has its own magnification power. Revolving turret or nosepiece holds objective lenses. There are 2 adjustment knobs used to focus a microscope. These are coarse adjustment knob that raises and lowers the stage rapidly and used to focus image under low power, and fine adjustment knob that slowly raises and lowers the stage and sharpens image under all powers. The stage is the part where specimens are placed for viewing. Aperture is the hole on the stage where light passes from the illuminator. The illuminator on this microscope is the mirror that captures light from a light source like the sun. Lastly, is the diaphragm, also known as the iris of microscope because of its role to control the amount of light that reaches the specimen. Let's wrap it up. Microscope is an instrument used to see a very small object that is not visible with the naked eye. Microscope is made up of structural parts for holding and supporting the microscope and its components and the optical parts which are used for magnification and viewing of specimens. Be updated with new topics weekly by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and leave us a comment about this video.